We've all understood how pro sports works. There's always 4, 5, 6, 7 really well-run organizations in all leagues. Dodgers right now are really, really well-run. Yankees last 25 years mostly been well-run. Same with the Red Sox. You know who's well-run. And then you always have 6 or 7 franchises, and it's always kind of the same ones. It's always bad ownership, poorly run franchises in all the sports. And in the NFL, you don't have to be in the club forever. I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were in the club for a long time. Now they're out of it. Sometimes you get one great player that changes everything, often a great coach. Bruce Arians arrives, builds a good staff. Tom Brady, Buccaneers, we're in that bottom club. In the NFL, I would call it the clown club. And these are teams, and right now, currently in the NFL clown club, we have very predictable teams. The Jaguars, the Texans, the Bengals, Detroit, Washington football team, the Jets, the Browns. Now, the Browns would throw a pushback. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, stop. You made the playoffs 1 year. You've been a tire fire for 25 years. The fact that you'd argue it is why you're in the clown club. Now, Washington, by the way, just made the playoffs. But again, you've been a mess for 15 years. You've let go of all sorts of good coaches and good players. So it's the NFL clown club. And there's another team that is showing signs of getting into the clown club. According to Les Bowen, he's a very good reporter, has been for years in the NFL, Philadelphia. He says, spoke with an NFL management source about the Carson Wentz melodrama. He said if Wentz doesn't want the Bears won't trade for him. Eventually, the Eagles will just take whatever the Colts are offering. Maybe a second, third-round pick for Carson Wentz. Also, the Eagles will have to draft a quarterback 6th overall. God. What a mess. They're all their own doing. There are 5 signs, if you're an NFL fan, that you are moving into the NFL clown club. Number 1, you start to have a lot of power struggles in the front office, a lot of ego. Number 2, generally over the last 7-8 years, you fired a coach, Andy Reid, who you look back and go, he's a lot better than the current coach we have. Number 3, your quarterback situation, it just feels unsettled and handled poorly too often. Number 4 is there's an unhealthy level of arrogance despite brief success. You know, Saxonville. Everybody wrote a book for the Eagles after Super Bowl. And number 5 is increasingly, you're not a great drafting team. So even though you're a bad team with good picks, you're missing a lot of picks. The Eagles, by the way, haven't drafted a Pro Bowler in 7 years except Carson Wentz. It looks like Philadelphia is about to enter the NFL clown club. The story this morning is, yeah, they're not going to get anything for Wentz, and they're going to have to draft another quarterback. I mean, they had Wentz. It was all their own doing. They had Wentz, they paid Wentz, and they butchered Wentz. And then last year, in what was one of the strangest things any of us had seen, even Chris Collinsworth, nicest guy in the world on the air, went ballistic. They had Jalen Hurts playing in a one-possession game, building confidence, division rival, playoffs on the line for Washington, and they pull him so a third-string guy can get reps. Jalen Hurts was on the sidelines, not happy. Of course he wasn't happy. Shouldn't have been happy. So I thought this morning, let's just make it official. Instead of just knocking on the door, let us open it, and the Philadelphia Eagles are officially, congratulations, in the NFL Clown Club with Washington, the Jets, the Lions, the Jags, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Houston Texans. You don't have to be in it forever. I mean, hey, Cleveland rattles off an 11-5. We may have to just pull them out. Joe Burrow looks very promising. You don't even have to be a playoff team. If you look like you're fairly well run, but those 5 signs in Philadelphia, front office, egos, looks like Andy Reid's a lot better than the 19-year-old you just hired. Quarterback situation feels a little poorly handled. You start lining those things up, you have an unhealthy level of arrogance for very little success, and your drafting sort of goes off the rails in recent years. Philadelphia, congratulations. Good luck working your way out of it. It's taken Cleveland a long time. They've been a 20-year charter member. So there's a story out today. The salary cap, because of COVID, is going to drop this year. It's not going up, which means it's going to make for some interesting conversations in NFL front offices. You're going to have to get rid of some expensive, good players. The story today is Cleveland's going to probably have to move Odell Beckham. This is something we've been on for 2 years. We've been saying this for 2 years. He's brittle. He's expensive. He's a star. He doesn't fit in Cleveland. And Baker Mayfield was clearly, data proves it, no debate, better without him. This goes to a root argument that people struggle with. The idea that more talent is always better for football teams is not true. There are individual talents with young quarterbacks where they sometimes feel pressured to throw the ball to them. We've been on this for 2 years. Look at the data. Move Odell. He's brittle. He'll get hurt again. Move him. They didn't. Now they're stuck because he's missed 25 games over the past 4 years. Why would you want him? Who wants a brittle, expensive wide receiver when college football, once again this year, is going to hand the NFL 25 to 28 receivers in the draft? They'll also be several undrafted wide receivers that'll make NFL teams. And receivers out of college are starring earlier in the NFL. They're making first and second year impacts. But this is the reality with Cleveland, which has always struggled with low sports self-esteem. They care deeply about what you think of them and what the media thinks of them. If I do any Cleveland rant, it always gets huge hits. Why? Because they care. I can rip successful sports teams. Nobody cares. Inner scoreboard, outer scoreboard. A lot of guys say they're confident. Outer scoreboard, they're very insecure. Inner scoreboard people don't have to tell you how great they are. Brown fans are paralyzed by what people think. So they didn't want to move off Odell Beckham because they wanted to prove to everybody stars can work in Cleveland. We can bring stars. They can work because everybody said he's not going to work there. He's a London guy. He's a Paris guy. He's a New York guy. He's a Hollywood guy. He's got houses in New York and Hollywood. He don't want to be in Cleveland, and he didn't. But Cleveland was paralyzed by it. We're going to prove that Odell Beckham can work in Cleveland. Now he's brittle and expensive, and you're not going to get much for him. You'll get something for him, but you could have gotten so much more. And the signs were obvious. Like last year, it's no longer disputable. Of the 9 receivers, the 9 top receivers Baker Mayfield targeted last year, Odell Beckham was last in passer rating and completion percentage from Baker. That means Baker's completion percentage was lower throwing to Odell than any other player, and his passer rating was lower than throwing to any other player. It's not even disputable now. He forces the ball to Odell Beckham. But this is why it's really important in the NFL to not worry about what other people think of you. This is something we've been banging on for 2 years. Odell wasn't a great fit. Baker was forcing the ball to him. A little bit like Dak and Dez. Remember the Cowboys moved off him. Dak felt like he had to get the ball to Dez, and Dak's numbers were fine without Dez once he got Amari Cooper. So the story today, the Browns will have to move Odell. I don't think they'll get nearly the haul they would have 2 years ago. If you remember, back in, it was 2019 actually, I think he played 15 or 16 games, had 1,000 yards. That was the time to move him. But they wanted to prove stars work in Cleveland. We're going to prove. Don't worry about what people think. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. History of injuries. That was the day you moved him. Look at the data. Move him. You could have gotten a first-round pick for him. You'd be out of your mind to give a first-round pickup for Odell Beckham now. You'd be out of your mind. Expensive and hurt all the time. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.